Andrian Wojneroski just provided a major update on OG Anunoby and his hamstring injury. And unfortunately for Knicks fans, the update is not a good one. Not only is Anunoby set to miss Game 3 tonight, but according to Woj, he could miss Game 4 and other games after that. We're going to break down exactly what Woj revealed and so much more today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. And make sure you have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. Woj provides a major update on OG Anunoby and that hamstring injury. The Knicks cannot escape this injury bug. Let's break this down for a second. The Knicks are missing the following players for the rest of the postseason. Three-time All-Star Julius Randle, offensive rebounding monster Mitchell Robinson, and the shooter that we needed off the bench, Bojan Bogdanovic. All of those guys, they're gone. And now OG Anunoby, according to Andrian Wojneroski from ESPN, he's set to miss Game 3, likely going to miss Game 4, and Woj reveals that OG Anunoby's injury is actually a hamstring strain. Let's see exactly what Woj stated about OG. According to ESPN's Andrian Wojneroski, the Knicks are listing OG Anunoby as out for Game 3 with a left hamstring strain. And Woj continued and stated the following. I'm told it's unlikely OG Anunoby plays Game 4 either, but he has yet to be ruled out. He was evaluated before the team left for Indiana today, and that assessment continues this evening. Expectation is unlikely to be available for Game 4, and he's already been ruled out of Game 3. Absolutely devastating. Losing OG Anunoby, one of our best defenders, the wing we've always needed, especially when he started hitting his stride, especially on offense, hitting those mid-ranges, hitting those three-pointers, being able to drive and dunk. He started looking like himself. He was coming alive on the offensive end and giving you everything you wanted on the defensive end, especially against Pascal Siakam. Siakam has not looked like himself ever since OG Anunoby has been guarding him. But now, Anunoby is set to miss Game 3 and Game 4. Those two games, in my opinion, are now must-win games for the Knicks. Because if the Knicks can close out the Pacers and sweep them, then they can give OG additional games to rest as they wait for their Eastern Conference Finals opponents. But if they make it an extended series because they can't close out the Pacers either in Game 3 and Game 4, it's going to mean a very long series and probably not a good thing for the Knicks. The Knicks need more rest days. They don't need to be playing high-level basketball for a 7-game series. Hopefully, this Knicks team can continue to buy in, have that next man up mentality, and absolutely take Game 3, beat the Pacers, and make sure they have no life going into Game 4. That's exactly what I want to see tonight. But doing that without OG Anunoby is going to be an extremely tall task. Shout out to Ian Bagley for giving us the following information about OG Anunoby and his hamstring strain. According to Bagley, according to @InStreetClothes, players with low-grade hamstring strains on average miss roughly 13 days. Bagley also stated it's unclear just when Anunoby will be back on the court. Bagley goes into this article even further and states the following. Anunoby has been ruled out with a left hamstring strain. There was pessimism early on Thursday morning as Anunoby's sore hamstring was feared to be more than just a cramp. If you didn't see the injury, Anunoby appeared to sustain the injury in the third quarter when going up for a layup on a fast break, and he immediately grabbed at the back of his leg after failing to convert the layup and landing out of bounds. Watching that injury in real time, after it happened, I thought it was a cramp. But I said in an earlier video, sometimes things look like one thing, but they may not appear that same way after you meet with doctors and get testing done. And that was absolutely clear because as it was revealed, it wasn't just a cramp. It wasn't just soreness. It's an actual strain. And that right there is the biggest issue that I have. Even though that Bagley did reveal that if it was a low-grade strain, that he would miss roughly 13 days. That's still 13 days without your best defender in OG Anunoby on the floor. 13 days without OG Anunoby being able to have an impact on the floor. And 13 days before you get to look at him back on the floor to see if he looks the same, has the same type of impact, or if he's laboring or has some type of issue. That's what we're dealing with right now with OG Anunoby. We don't even know if it's a low-grade strain. We're hoping that. We're thinking that. But it could be worse. We're probably not going to know that until all of the evaluations are done. But as Woj stated, the assessments and evaluations continued even into late last night. So we don't have an official update yet on what those evaluations revealed. Maybe they reveal something worse. Maybe it's not a low-grade sprain. Maybe it's worse than that. And that's what we have to wait on. That's the key piece of information for me that's going to be the most important. Now, of course, losing OG, major blow. I think I've made that perfectly clear throughout this entire video. But now the Knicks and Tom Thibodeau, they need to respond. And the response is forcing a change to the starting lineup and obviously your bench lineup, because that has to change now. We're missing too many players for him not to go to the bench, dive into it, and add more players to our consistent rotation until we get other players back, like hopefully OG Anunoby. The rotation we're going to see is probably the same rotation we saw during the regular season when we were missing Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, and OG Anunoby. And if Bojan Bogdanovic wasn't playing during that time, I think Alec Burks would have had a lot of those minutes. And that's exactly what's going to happen this time around. I think Precious Achiuwa starts in place of OG Anunoby because you need that size on Pascal Siakam. Josh Hart cannot do it. And I think we saw that to close out game 2. Josh Hart on Pascal Siakam is like food for Pascal. He can shoot over him. He can get whatever he wants to get over him. And the defense isn't as strong as OG's defense. Hart is a great defender, but he's not the defender that OG Anunoby is. Nobody on the Knicks is. That's why when OG's on the floor, the Knicks look like almost a completely different team, especially on defense. They play differently. We all know it and we all see it. That's why losing OG Anunoby is such a huge blow for this team. But that next man up mentality, I believe in it. This Knicks team believes in it. And you know what? We have won games, critical games to our season without OG Anunoby. If we've done it before, that means we can do it again, especially against a Pacers team that doesn't play defense. If you don't play defense and we have Jalen Brunson on our roster, it's likely we are still going to be capable of winning this game. I believe in Achiuwa. I think he's going to show up big for this team, and I think we're going to have a lot of unsung heroes once this game is done tonight. But going back to the rotation, as I mentioned, Tom Thibodeau is going to have to expand it. He's forced to now, given all of the injuries, he has to respond. And Ian Begley also noted this, and he reported the following. With Anunoby out during the fourth quarter, the Knicks operated with a 6-man rotation, something that will likely not be sustainable for Game 4. Head coach Tom Thibodeau used only Precious Achiuwa, 28 minutes, and Miles McBride, 20 minutes off the bench. But both players struggled, -14 and -22 respectively, and scored a combined 12 points on 5 for 9 shooting. Listen, I get it. I know Miles McBride and to an extent Precious Achiuwa has struggled against the Pacers, but I will say this. Precious Achiuwa, even though he wasn't doing what you need him to do in terms of points and scoring and things like that, he was still giving you crucial, clutch offensive rebounds, ones that we needed to close out game 2. So I credit him a lot for getting those rebounds and getting the Knicks second chance opportunities. He does that for the Knicks. We have to understand that. And I think now that he knows OG Anunoby's likely going to be out, he's going to be locked in and focused because he's not going to wonder, how many minutes am I going to play? He's now likely going to play OG Anunoby minutes. OG was playing upwards of 40-plus minutes during the postseason, and I think Precious Achiuwa is headed that way tonight. And he can do it. We saw him do it during the regular season without any complaints. Tonight, he's definitely going to have to do that again. Even though Tom Thibodeau is likely going to expand his rotation, he's not going to expand it a lot. Not in my opinion. You're likely going to see Alec Burks. You're not going to see Shake Milton, in my opinion. Alec Burks is who Tom Thibodeau trusts because he understands the experience he has with him. And when push comes to shove, Tom Thibodeau will always go with experience. And if that's the case, Alec Burks, your number's going to be called, and you're going to have to light it up off the bench. And hopefully, you can have one of those Burks games where you just go off for no reason, and everybody is praising you and thanking you after the game. That's what I'm hoping. We're going to need that because as of right now, that's the only thing we can hope for. We don't have anything else. Next man up mentality needs to be what we use in order to move on, take game 3, and hopefully close out the Pacers in 4 games, even without some key players. So that way we can get additional days to rest. That's exactly what we need. Jalen Brunson, he's also somebody that needs rest. He's questionable for tonight's game, but as I said in a number of videos, in the postseason, if you're questionable, you're likely going to play. Jalen Brunson, our point guard, knowing all the injuries we have, knowing how close we are to victory, and knowing that Indiana does not play any defense, even if we're down bodies, he knows if we play a good game behind his play, we can likely win the game. He's not missing game 3 tonight. He is going to be there. He is going to suit up, and he is going to be available. He's going to play. I know some people have been saying, well, you know what? Let's rest him, see what we can do without him. And if we lose, it's okay if we lose. We still have game 4. Nope. I don't want to think like that. If Jalen thinks he can go, this is the postseason. Let him go. Let him continue to play, and let's see what he can do. If he doesn't look good out there or something looks off or wrong, then yes, you pull him. But at this point, at this stage in the season where all the games matter, where we are this close from getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, Jalen Brunson, he is not going to stop. He is not going to rest. And if he can play, even hobbled, he is going to play, try to lead us to victory, and make sure this Knicks team can advance to the Eastern Conference Finals, the place we should have been last year. We want to get there. And I think this year we have a very good chance to do it, even if our roster is very much injured. Unlike the Pacers, I'm not going to make excuses. I'm not going to talk about injuries. What I am going to say is it hurts the Knicks to lose these players, but I still believe in this team. I still believe in the Knicks. And I still think that next man up mentality will power us through, have us take game 3, and then leave the Pacers with no excuses. Unless they want to continue to blame the refs and not blame the fact that they play no defense. If they want to continue to do that, they can. But it's not going to matter to me. It's not going to matter to most New York Knicks fans. All that mattered to us is getting the W, getting the victory, and being up 3-0 on the Indiana Pacers. Tonight, we make that dream a reality. But what about you guys? What do you think about OG Anunoby's injury, and how do you feel it's going to affect the Knicks for this series and moving forward? Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below, and of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.